Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Sun Up on 7. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got to give shout outs to people that are tuning in via Facebook. We have persons from London, Sacramento, Florida, and of course, our very own
Los
Belize.
Angeles.
What's that? Los Angeles as well. There we go. So we love that you're tuned in. So we just want to say thank you. Also, let me remind you that you can follow us on our other social media platforms, which include Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So there's no reason for you to miss what happens here on Sun Up on 7. It's time for our first conversation with the Belize Tax Service. Let's hear more about Iris. If you do not know what Iris is about, we're going to be talking about that today. And what's the second phase about their implementation? So we have two lovely ladies joining us via Zoom today, Miss Lisa Claire and Miss Michelle Brown. Good morning, ladies. How are y'all doing today?
Good morning. You're doing well.
Good morning. You're both looking great. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's time to know what Iris is about, right?
So, in case people have not been able to tune in or did not even understand the first implementation phase, I would just like for a small synopsis of the first stage, and then we can go into what's happening for our second phase moving on. So for people that what is Iris? What's happening here? Could you just briefly give us that little outlook here so they can know?
Sure. Good morning. We actually launched our system in October of last year. And so we were on the show, I think around November, and discussing what the show is about. This is the first time in Belize that we actually have a portal that taxpayers can fulfill their tax obligations, as well as that system also helps us. We have this new system, and this system helps us on the back end, the staff of the Belize Tax Service, to properly administrate taxes so that it is easier for taxpayers. And so when we came on the show in November, we were talking about the first phase of the implementation because the system is being implemented in phases. During our first phase, it was to help the taxpayers to file and pay their taxes on time. So that was our first phase of our implementation. And so now we're at the second phase where there are other exciting things that are available for taxpayers so that it's easier. All of this is to make it easier for taxpayers to fulfill their obligations.
Right, so it's time to hear what this excitement is about. So please be so kind and share that with us.
Well, in this second phase, we have the inquiry. Like Ms. Lisa indicated, the first phase, you had the filing and the return payment processing. So now we have the inquiry. That is where taxpayers can send any type of queries that they have. Rather than coming into the office, they can send it via their portal, and then they will get a response within a timely manner, which should be within 5 working days. So anything in regards, we know right now a lot of questions is in regards to refund and when they will receive their refund. So through that portal, they can send that inquiry, and there's a staff readily available to assist them and reply back to each one of those inquiries that is being sent. Also, we have at this phase where they will be receiving notifications. Notifications in regards if they have an assessment, if they have any return outstanding, even when they will get prompts of when the next due date for their filing of their business tax or their GST return. So there's a lot of great things that is happening with the Iris Belize, and we want to encourage all these taxpayers to get registered so that they can utilize the platform.
Love it.
Thank you for that. What would you say now in the second phase would be the only challenge for taxpayers to get across or get past, and what have you been able to do to help them get past that challenge?
I think one of our challenges that we're facing right now, as we know, the end of March was the filing period for employee returns. One of our challenges that we had faced is that when they go to file their return, they're asked to put in a tax identification number. However, employees were placing their personal identification number, which it should have been that of the employer. So it clearly states that they should have included the employer tax identification number, but I think because they're already used to only having their personal ID number, that is the number that they place there. And also, I want to employ and inform them that the platform is similar to the actual physical return. It's no different. So the figures that are placed on your physical return is that you place in the portal. So they have to go each line to ensure that they place the proper information there, because we are getting some inquiries where we have to go back and fix it because they had placed the information in the wrong line. So we want them to be very vigilant and look at where these information should be placed. So like I said, one of the major issue is the identification number. Not an issue, but just to let them know that that tin that should be placed there is their employer tin and not their personal tax identification number.
All right. Thanks for sharing that, Miss Michelle. And it's good to hear that y'all are still monitoring and see what interaction is like of the users when it comes to Iris. I want to ask Miss Lisa. So the program was launched November, December, and it's already like what, 3-4 months into the implementation. What has it been like for the users? What are some of the feedback that you've been getting from Iris?
Well, for the users, first, when we implemented, it was mandatory for the large taxpayers because we recognize that it will take a time for everybody to get on board and as well as for smaller taxpayers to really be prepared. So it was originally launched and it was mandated that large taxpayers were to use this portal. If you visit the Belize Tax Service website, you can see a number of the comments and the positive feedback that we have gotten from these taxpayers who have actually using this portal and find it easier to get their responsibilities done. I also wanted to mention one other feature that will be we will be seeing within this phase 2. It's the audit management. Because I know many times taxpayers believe that, oh, I keep getting audited all the time, or my business, why is my business, I feel like my business is targeted for an audit. We're looking first in phase 2, we're looking at managing the audits. So audits will be managed through the system from or the back end for our staff. It will be managed through the system. Taxpayers will still get the same opportunities that they had previously, where after they are audited, any adjustments that is communicated to them, that will also still be communicated to them through the portal. What will happen in phase 3 is that audits will be selected based on risk. So it's just based on risk that we will be doing the audit. So the system will help us to look at compliance history, as well as we'll have integrations with other systems that will identify which taxpayers are at risk. So those are the taxpayers that we will then be auditing. So this system is not only helping the taxpayers, but is helping us at the office to better manage the tax system, to better manage the taxes for everyone.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for that. I wanted to ask, Ms. Michelle, in regards to any incentive or anything for people to know that they should really be starting to get on the bandwagon, to jump on it. I know even if it's like $50 off your taxes or something, but is there anything of conversation to be able to implore people that they really should be jumping on, they really should be signing on, they really should be getting into the different phases and getting virtual? Is that something that's having on the table for you guys to discuss or no?
Well, that is a great idea. Well, currently, no, we don't have any incentive in place.
There
But
you go.
that is, we are very open to ideas, and you have just placed one. So I will take that back to our office and see what we can do to have more taxpayers, like you said, get on the bandwagon and get their account active for the portal. Because as we also know that majority of our taxpayers are employees, which files once a year. And we had an influx of employees coming into the office last week because, as I indicated, that was the filing period that was about to end, which was Thursday. So we had a lot of persons coming in. But we have been receiving the notion that they're not comfortable with the thought of technology. So we try to implore and we try to encourage. And we did get some of those same taxpayers to register at that same time for the portal. So it's more outreach that we need to get done to encourage them to get registered for the portal. And I'll take back the idea of the incentive to these persons who get registered.
Thank you so much. I mean, what I really did appreciate from the first time you guys came here in November is the fact that you have a lot of videos. And I think that's so important because people, a lot of time, they're visual learners. So they need to see the process if they can't actually come down and have somebody work it through with them. Like, I could stop my YouTube video and I could just be able to say, oh, I was supposed to do that. And I appreciate that. So I think it's really good for people to be able to know exactly what are the process, what are the steps to be able to go through so they can understand. You mentioned something very important about, the filing process. So for people right now that are learning about Iris for the first time, they would be able to start off with the filing process first before they get into the second phase, right? How would it work for them if they're hearing this conversation for the first time and they want to jump on the bandwagon? What would be the process for them? Would it be a different time period? What is going on for that?
Well, like you mentioned, very important is the videos that we have on our website, on the Belize Tax Service website. So there's a video there that shows you actually how you can sign up to actually get an online account on Iris Belize. And then it encourages you then contact the office and we link your online account to your tax account. And that is very important because many times persons just sign up for the online account, but then they don't contact the office. We need you to contact the office because we need to validate who you are before we provide that access to the tax account. So contacting the office, you then get your tax account. After you get your tax account, you're then able to go on and file a tax return. But like we mentioned, regardless of what return that you need to file, there is that return type on the website. So that video actually shows you step by step how to file an employee return. If you're a business person, how to file your business tax return. If you're filing on behalf of your employees, how to file. So every different return type, that is on the website for you to be able to see and know what to do.
Lovely.
Perfect.
Love that. So I'm not sure if I missed it, but if I did, can you please let us know when is this phase going to be rolling out for Iris? So for our users, when should they be on the lookout for this next advancement with Iris?
There are notifications and everything that comes along the way because I think that's really exciting too as well. Like, I gotta tell you, you need to file, you need to do this or whatever it is.
So the notification is already available. What we have been doing is ensuring that everything is correct for all the taxpayers. So we ensure that from our backend, that all taxpayers' information is in the system before we actually turn on the notification. Reason being that whilst it's already available, if we turn on the notification and we don't have everybody information in the system, you may be getting a notification for a return that you have already filed. So we have not yet turned on that notification for the system, but that is currently available and we will shortly be putting that on so that taxpayers can be getting their notifications for filing of their returns and other important information that is required.
Perfect. Ms. Lisa, you mentioned, you and also Ms. Michelle had mentioned two things to highlight for people that are signing on, two kinks, I guess, that people are getting into, meaning the employee number, they're not putting that, they're putting their own personal number as well as the line spacing. Sometimes they're missing out. Is there any other things that you want to highlight to the public to be mindful of when they're filling out their applications and going into this second phase so they can be able to be key and on their toes to know exactly what to do or what not to do?
What we also want to ensure is that if at any point when they're filing their employee return, they have any type of charitable or educational contribution that they're claiming, to ensure that they upload the document that is required, which is the letter from the charitable institution indicating the funds that they have contributed for that fiscal or that period, because that will give us proof of their claim. And also, we want them to upload their Social Security card. And this is specifically to those who are claiming refunds and ensure that their banking information is accurate. Because when the funds are being deposited for the refund, we want to ensure that it goes to the correct account and does not bounce back through the treasury. So we want to ensure, like similar to if they're filing in line in the office, they have to also upload those documentation that is crucial to the claim that they are sending into the department. And one other thing that I did not mention, taxpayers can ask for extensions on the portal as well.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So, however, when they request those extensions, they have to give proof of the reason why they're requesting their extension. So there are different type of services that is available on the portal, which they can also do in-house, but we would greatly encourage them to do it online and using the portal instead of coming in office.
Thank you for that. And not sure if this is something you want to be able to give us information on, but for the extension, what are normally the terms or the reasons why people would need to get an extension and have the proof of extension? Would it be kind of something like maybe COVID, or what would really be the grounds in which you can be able to apply for an extension?
Actually, currently, most of the time when they ask for extension, it is when it is in dire situations. Like, for instance, someone might have passed that usually do their books in the time of the PAYE reconciliation submission, which is the employer submission at the end of February, when they realize that they have not gotten all their staff pins, or they need a little more time within 2 weeks to get their documents together to submit, they can request those. But it's not something that happens so often. But like I say, it has to be critical situations. Maybe they had their place burned down, which doesn't happen often, but it happens in those situations. Probably the place was burglarized, their documents was misplaced. It's not a various reason, but there are several reasons, but they have to have those proof, meaning police reports, fire reports. It's not something that they just can request and then it will be adhered to or agreed on. So keeping in mind, while they can request an extension, it's not something that will be approved off the bat. It has to be based on the reasons that they have submitted to us.
Great.
Thank you so much for that clarification. But I think really what is important is just them knowing too as well, we're not upon your back in case something does come up. I mean, it's very rare that it does come up, but in the case that it does, you can be able to apply for extension with your correct proof, your documentation to show that you do need the extension. So for taxpayers out there that are wondering, I need to get this thing done, I have a deadline, do understand that if there are various very important reasons, then you can be able to see how you can get your extension. But it's rolling out. We're at the second phase right now of Iris Belize. If you have not learned about it, this is the perfect time to go and check out the different videos, go and make a call, go and walk down on the office, do a rundown if you're not very technological savvy or so, whatever it is. Make sure you try your best to switch over your account, link your accounts, do the correct numbers. There are a lot of things to be able to know and ask questions. So as we're wrapping up the segment, Miss Lisa and Miss Michelle, is there any final words that you want to give for our viewers at home? First time link Iris Belizers or whatever it is you would like to call them. Is there any advice, any clarification, any comments that you'd like to give them at this time?
Yes, so like Miss Michelle Brown had mentioned, while our processes have not really changed as much because they're still the same requirements, but you have to provide supporting documents now. Instead of, I know there were times taxpayers made notifications at the back of the return. Now you would have to put that notification on a document and send that in as a supporting document. But we also want to encourage taxpayers who have not signed up to the portal, who may feel a bit maybe intimidated, even looking at the videos and they still do not feel comfortable. We are inviting you to come into our office. We have our taxpayer services. Those persons will be able to actually sit with you and show you that the process isn't so hard. They can guide you so that when you go back to your homes or your office, you can find it easy to use the portal to file your returns, pay, and the other services that will be available. You can get them via the portal.
Thank you so much for that, Miss Lisa. And for all our viewers at home, don't think or look at these processes as harder than they need to be. Honestly, sometimes it just looks challenging because it's the first time you're doing something, first time you're applying or trying to link things. It just feels like a lot, it feels like a burden, but really it's not. And like Miss Lisa has given the invitation numerous times, and I'm sure you guys know that you can always go down to the offices and see what happens. The videos might be helpful, but they're still confusing to you. It's okay, have that conversation. That's the only way you can be able to understand the process properly and be talk one-on-one with somebody to ask all the questions that you need to ask. There's never a dumb question. Ask and be able to know that information. But I really want to thank you so much, Miss Lisa, Miss Michelle, for taking the time to explain the second phase and what are the quirks and what people can look forward to, and taking my suggestion of, a little incentive also into consideration. So I thank you so much for your time here.
Thank you,
And
too.
thank you for having us.
No problem.
All right.
And with that, we go to our next commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be talking to the newly elected Deputy Mayor of the Belize City Council, Micah Gooding. So stay tuned for the exciting conversation of his plans with what he wants to do for his year of term. Stay tuned.